Okay, so this is just for my reference. It's pretty basic, but I'm just having it here just in case I want to come back on it. So this is our input line. This comes from the well. All right, there is your chlorine injection. Okay, and it comes from the device I took apart. And that line right there goes up. It goes underneath here. This is your mixing tank. Okay, from the mixing tank up there, we've got an output. Okay. Again, there's your mixing tank output. All right, from there, it comes over to here, and it goes in, says it right there, into the carbon filter, and then it comes out of the carbon filter. Okay, comes back up here, and it goes in to the water softener, and then it goes out. Okay, and that out comes over to here. I'm taking it that this is a drain line to the outside with a valve, as is this. I believe these probably back flush themselves on a timed deal. So this is the carbon filter back flush. And this here, this would be the water softener back flush, because obviously this goes outside to nowhere. So I'm going to be draining everything and getting everything, disconnecting everything, getting everything outside where I can see it so that I could work on it. But this is pretty simple, really. I've just got to replumb it. I mean, all this stuff unsupported. We'll get it up here. You know, it's not that cold today, but I went to turn on the well, and just that 2 or 3 feet of 1-inch pipe coming out of the well, that's frozen. It'll thaw out today, but that just lets me know it doesn't take much to freeze stuff in here. So we're going to try to get all this up as high as we can. And of course, they've insulated it, so that's what we're going to do. But anyway, this is just a video for my reference, so I know what's going on. Okay, so here's the chlorine pump out of this thing. I believe there was a rebuild kit. I wanted to test it, but unfortunately it's a they say it's 230, but a 220. I just need to get a plug. I'll come out of the box. I can put a plug in. But you can see here, this is how corrosive the chlorine is. These are the bolts and everything. They come right out. So that's got to be tested. Oh God, these things were heavy. They were full of rotten egg water. I'm draining everything right now. The good thing about older stuff is it's not a whole bunch of computerized stuff. Basically, this is a tank with a pump, and it meters how much goes in, blah, 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 blah. This is our carbon filter, okay? It's going to have this head right here, which is a pump, is going to come off, and there's going to be carbon in there. That's got to be changed depending on the type of carbon, but that's definitely going to be changed. You see this hose I've got right here? This is our mixing tank, and I'm draining it right now. I'm not moving that thing. It's heavier than all get out. But that thing was buried. I don't know if you can tell, but I had to dig that out with a screwdriver. God only knows if they ever drained it and flushed it out. Obviously, I'm going to flush it. But anyway, yeah, so I pretty much got her stripped down. I'm going to have to clear away all this mud, put some gravel in here. You know, I'll use some of these bricks here and get some good pressure treated lumber to mount everything on. This is probably the way they brought them in, because all this is this half-inch insulation, you know. The only good thing is we're heading towards summer. Don't have to worry about snow or monsoons, but we're going to need a French drain down here. I'm going to need some pressure treated plywood to seal all this up. Yeah, so I got a bit of work ahead of me. This has all got to be cleaned out. It's got to be level. The kind of the bummer is the injection right here for the chlorine. It's underneath this. So God, I hope this isn't too terribly heavy. It was filled with water. I could hear it sloshing up here. But see, stuff like this, that's gonna it's gonna have to be replaced. New T, blah blah. It's not expensive, but it's all got to. You can see it's all corroding. Everything in here is corroding, and we're hoping it's all gonna work. So anyway, yeah, you know, this is all rusted out right here. That valve, thank God it worked. So all this stuff is going to have to be replaced. I'm not too worried about the tank being bad. I don't know what these things cost, but if it's anything like a pressure tank, that's probably a $700, $800 item, you know. And each one of these, God, who only knows, each one of these $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. They're just water softeners, or this one's a water softener. So worst case scenario, I get on Facebook Marketplace and I find a used water softener. I don't care. The carbon filter, again, it's just got carbon media, and there's a motor that pumps, and I'm sure this right here regulates how much it pumps and the flush time and all that other stuff. So if none of the electronics are bad, you know, I can fix that. I can already tell, you know, from the way of this pipe, and if you look in here, there's O-rings, I bet, that's got to be replaced in here, and the same thing with over here. I don't know what happened here, but it got heated up somehow. But yeah, I'm gonna have to replace some O-rings and stuff and just see if it works. I don't want to put too much into it if it's not going to work. But anyway, that's what we've got. So we're draining them now, and we'll write them up, and I'll plug them in and try to give them a test, see what's up. Okay, so after some further research, the proper nomenclature for this is the chlorinator, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, it takes bleach, or the pool, that's about 5% concentration. The pool store here in town probably got pool chlorine, is probably 15%. But anyway, looking at a bunch of diagrams for this, you basically wire an outlet to the pressure switch. So every time the pressure switch turns on, the outlet turns on and turns on this pump, which injects the chlorine. And most of them are calling, the diagrams I'm seeing are calling for it to inject the chlorine before the pressure tank, which means the pressure tank will have freshly chlorinated water. Well, a lot of people online are talking about an issue of the chlorine actually damaging the rubber bladder inside there. And then again, you get plumbers saying, oh, they've never seen it in their bajillion years in the business. But I just have a feeling this water is so bad, we're going to have a higher concentration of chlorine injection than normal. I got to get a picture of this water. It's just garbage. It actually looks like it came out of the sewer. But anyway, so what that means is I'm going to have to wire a line in, just one line, a 220 line from the pressure switch, and bring it out towards the door. So all the filtering and everything will be done out towards the door. And then once it gets done with all that, it's going to come all the way back to the middle of the house where I've got all the runs to everything, you know, sink, faucet, toilet. It's going to have to come into there. So that's going to require piping, electrical wiring. You know, I've got to run a 220 from the pressure switch and put an outlet for a 220, which turns on when the pressure switch turns on, to power this, to inject the chlorine. And then everything else there, the carbon filter and the water softener, they've all got little transformers. So that's 120, and it brings it down to 24 volts or whatever. So yeah, I'm going to have to run a line, you know, from where the pressure switch is, and then over to the door where all this stuff is going to sit, and the same with the electrical, and then bring everything back, and the pressure tank will be the last thing it hits. So this way that'll avoid any contamination of really a lot of heavy concentrations of bleach into the pressure tank. You know, that pressure tank is past its, you know, its life expectancy, and you know, we're trying to get by here on a wing and a prayer, and I'm going to prepare for it to come out. I'll use it, but I know it's going to fail. I mean, it's already towards its end. But anyway, so that's what we got going, and I'm just going through all this stuff, and you know, I got a couple, 3 weeks to get this going. Worst case scenario is I'm just going to get a tank. I'm going to get a 275-gallon tank and a little pump, and I'll just pump out of a tank. I'll get water delivered or find water somewhere and just feed the system until I can get this thing going. Shallow well pump, that's what it's called. I've done plenty of those in Alaska. They're pretty simple. The problem is getting water. We're here in Red Sulphur Springs, and people just don't deliver water here. You know, worst case scenario is I've got to go get a couple tanks. I'll put a tank in my pickup truck, go to the river, pump out some water, go there. The water's so bad here, the community has a water well somewhere. I have to find out more about that, and I don't know if it's free or whatever, but anyway, we're going to get this going one way or another. So anyway, that's it for now.